In this video, I am going to be counting down the worst things that tourists overpay for, which you will not be doing because it's 2025 now and we know better. Now, in case you're new here, hi, I'm Christina from happytowander.com, and this channel is all about practical travel tips from someone who's been there, done that, so be sure to like and subscribe if that sounds like your kind of thing. Starting off easy with something that you're definitely paying a premium for just for convenience, because why else would you pay $12 for chocolate-covered nuts? And that's, of course, the hotel minibar. Personally, my first stop whenever I get to a new destination is the local supermarket because A, that's a super fun cultural experience, and B, you're going to find the same snacks for a fraction of the cost. So I can definitely recommend incorporating that into your travel routine because it's honestly just super fun. On a similar note, another thing to stop overpaying for is airport snacks. I always assumed this was common knowledge, but apparently not. So just so you know, unless you're bringing something that's over 100 milliliters in liquids or gels, you are 100% allowed to bring your own airport snacks to consume at the airport or even on board the plane. And after all, a Kit Kat is a Kit Kat whether you pay 50 cents for it at the supermarket or $3 for it at the airport. So definitely pack your own snacks in advance, and that way you have more options that are tailored to your taste and stuff that you know you're gonna like for a fraction of the cost. Next up is something that's maybe less obvious, but in my opinion is still a huge waste of money, and that's single-use toiletries. When you do the math, these even out to be so expensive for what they are, and they're also not great for the environment. Instead, I highly recommend you get your own mini refillable bottles, and that way you can fill it with your own favorite products and you can use them over and over. Moving upwards in the overpayment ladder is something that I'm sure every single person watching this has overpaid for, and is especially bad for tourists who have just arrived in a new destination. And that is, of course, taxis. Probably the oldest tourist scam in the book. There is, of course, a time and place for taxis, especially if you're traveling in a larger group or if you have a lot of bags. But a few minutes of research is really all it takes to help save you from being caught in common scams. If you've been on this channel before, you'll know I am so pro-research, and honestly, one of the most important things to research before your trip, in my opinion, is common taxi rates and also common taxi scams. Because in case you didn't know, a lot of major cities these days, to combat scammers, have actually implemented set rates from the airport to main points in the city. So a lot of the time, if you just do a bit of research, you'll be able to find out whether or not a set rate exists, or maybe alternatively, how much you should be paying, and also common scams to look out for. That way, as soon as you land, you'll know what red flags to look out for, and as a result, you'll almost never overpay for a taxi. I would also research if there's any common local rideshare apps like a local version of Uber or Lyft, because oftentimes you'll be able to get first-timer discounts for these, and sometimes they can actually be cheaper than getting a licensed taxi. Also, consider taking public transport depending on your destination. A lot of the time this is going to be a fraction of the cost of a taxi and is actually not as intimidating as a lot of people think. Next on our list of things people overpay for is roaming. In 2025, we will not be letting greedy companies charge us an arm and a leg just to use mobile data abroad. Instead, getting an international SIM is definitely the way to go, and eSIMs are by far the most convenient option for doing just that. So on that note, this week's video is brought to you by Airlo, my go-to eSIM provider that offers packages for over 200 countries and regions around the world. No matter where you travel these days, having mobile data is definitely a necessity. And eSIMs offer a great way of getting mobile data abroad while avoiding those steep roaming fees. For those who are new to the concept, eSIM stands for embedded SIM, which means it's pre-installed on your device and works 100% digitally to connect you with telecom networks as soon as you land in your destination. Which means no need to switch out those annoying physical SIM cards, which used to be the bane of my existence. And getting set up is super easy too. All you need to do is download the Airlo app, and from there you can easily browse and purchase your eSIM of choice. You can then set it up according to their instructions and have data access as soon as you land. So if you're ready to try Airlo out, you can scan this QR code for a link to download the app, and use the code HAPPY3 to get a discount on your first purchase. You can check out my complete Airlo guide for step-by-step instructions on how to set it all up as well. So thanks again to Airlo for sponsoring this week's video. Now let's continue with our next thing to stop overpaying for, and this is one that I feel very strongly about. Personally, I want 2025 to be the year that we're more discerning and thoughtful about the way that we go shopping abroad. And the thing that I think a lot of tourists overpay for is tacky souvenirs. We've all seen in touristy areas those shops that sell the same mass-produced things like magnets, t-shirts, tote bags and keychains, that sort of stuff. And I do think these shops can be fun to browse occasionally for the odd thing, but I will say, especially if you're shopping for someone back home, odds are a keychain that says Barcelona is not something that they're going to actually be using in the future, unless they've explicitly asked for one. So when you are shopping for souvenirs, do definitely consider putting in a bit of extra work so that you're able to actually find high quality items that you'd actually get enjoyment and use of back home, especially ones that are crafted locally. These days, most major cities actually do have shops that showcase local artisans and artists. So it's really not tough to find better alternatives to the tacky souvenir stalls that you find thousands of in touristy cities. Next is something we all need to survive, so we feel like we do need to pay for it sometimes. But that's not always the case, and I am, of course, talking about water. Again, this is location dependent. I know in some countries it's actually not safe to be drinking tap water, but there are some countries out there where it is 100% safe to drink the tap water, but they take advantage of the fact that you're a tourist and don't know better, and so they'll charge you an arm and a leg for bottled water. The important thing to note here is that oftentimes there are specific ways that you can ask for water so that it's free. Kind of like how in North America, if you say, I want tap water, most of the time that'll guarantee that they bring you free tap water rather than anything that's in a bottle. So similar to that, a lot of countries will have their own special way of asking for water. In France, for instance, if you ask for une carafe d'eau, then they'll bring you a little jug full of water, and they won't bring you bottled water, which is the default when it comes to tourists because they know oftentimes you'll just suck it up and pay for it. So always Google the norms in advance to make sure you're not paying like $8 for a bottle of water because yes, some places really do take advantage of tourists. And if you are going somewhere that the water quality is iffy, then I highly recommend investing in something like a life straw, which is something that you can use to filter the water yourself, and that way you don't have to be completely reliant on bottled water for your entire trip. Now, this next one might be controversial, but I will die on this hill that this next one is a massive waste of money unless it's already included in the room rate. And that is, of course, hotel breakfast. Depending on where you go, hotel breakfast can sometimes be $20 to $30 a person, maybe more. For what? For eggs. And adding on to this, oftentimes hotel breakfasts don't necessarily give you the best glimpse into local cuisine, opting instead for more continental picks. So I don't know about you, but to me, cereal is cereal. It's not very exciting. So unless I'm staying somewhere that's really remote and far removed from other options, most of the time what I'll do instead of opting for the hotel breakfast is actually just going to a local bakery or local supermarket to grab a quick bite. Usually this will be something like 1/10 of the cost and is just a more enriching cultural experience as well. So let me know in the comments if this is the way you like to travel as well by commenting bakery. Now for another controversial one. I personally would have put this at the very end of the list as the worst thing that people are overpaying for, but I acknowledge that it is kind of subjective, so here we are. Now, depending on the destination, this is once again something that is charged exclusively to tourists just because they think they can get away with it. And that, of course, is tips. I'll be the first to say that North American tipping culture has gotten severely out of hand in recent years. But the worst part is this kind of tipping culture is starting to creep into other destinations that are popular with North American tourists, and is often seen as an easy cash grab for people in the service industry. So, as I always say, it's now more important than ever to actually research the tipping norms in whatever your destination is. Very rarely outside of North America will you encounter tipping norms upwards of 15%. So definitely look into it, and if someone is gouging you for a higher tip, do know it's probably because you're a tourist and because of where you're from. Now, I do think in some instances, when you have really excellent service and you want to show how grateful you are, it can be appropriate to tip generously. Of course, they're never going to have a problem with that. But where I take issue with the excess tipping is when people just expect you to tip extra because they think you don't know better, because they think you're a tourist and they think they can get away with it. That's what I don't like. So definitely be sure to do your research in advance. I find that Reddit is actually a really good source of information in regards to tipping culture. You'll get a lot of local insight, and odds are someone out there has already asked about the tipping culture of your specific destination. So just a quick search and you'll be able to find the answers that you're looking for. And lastly, saving the worst for last, one thing that we will absolutely not be overpaying for in 2025 is currency exchanges. And of course, this is going to depend on where you're going, but most of the time, if you're going to a currency exchange in a place that's really popular with tourists, whether that's close to a tourist attraction or even in the airport, most of the time you are not going to get the best rate through these currency exchanges. Adding on to this, many destinations are now shifting to be less cash-based, which means carrying a bunch of cash around might not actually work in your favor. Instead, I would recommend getting a travel-friendly card that allows you to withdraw from local ATMs for free. That way you can just withdraw cash as you need, and you don't need to estimate how much money you need at the start of your trip and just carry a bunch of bills around. For this purpose, I've been using Wise for many years. Their card is amazing, it works super well, you can hold multiple currencies in your account, and they also offer free ATM withdrawals a few times a month. Overall, this option can save you a lot of money over using currency exchanges everywhere you go, so definitely keep that in mind. All right, thanks so much for watching. For more travel videos just like this one, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!